What is the difference between a serf, vassal, and knight? Imagine a medieval world where everyone has a role, like pieces in a giant game. Each person has specific duties and rights that keep the society moving. Today, we're going to look at 3 key roles in that system: serfs, vassals, and knights. They each played a part in the way land, loyalty, and protection worked together. First, let's talk about serfs. Serfs were peasants who worked the land. They couldn't just leave their village or manor whenever they wanted. Their lives were tied to the land they farmed on. They had to give a part of their crops or labor to the lord of the manor. In return, the lord protected them from enemies and kept law and order. Serfs made up the largest part of the population and kept the manorial economy running. In Southeast Europe, similar systems existed where peasants worked land owned by local lords, following the same basic rules. Next, we have vassals. A vassal was someone who was granted land by a lord. This land was called a fief. The vassal promised loyalty and military support to the lord in exchange for the land. They swore an oath called homage and fealty, which was a formal promise of loyalty. Vassals often managed their land and collected taxes or rents from the people living there, including serfs. They were like middle managers, overseeing parts of the lord's territory. In Southeast Europe, vassal relationships appeared during Byzantine times and later under Ottoman influence, where land and military service were closely linked. Finally, knights. Knights were mounted warriors, usually of noble birth. They served their lord or king by fighting on horseback. Knights often were vassals themselves, holding land in exchange for their military service. They trained in combat from a young age and followed a code called chivalry, which emphasized honor and protection of the weak. Knights played a key role in defending castles and fighting battles. In Southeast Europe, the idea of knights was influenced by Byzantine and Ottoman cavalry traditions, but the core idea of a mounted soldier serving a lord remained the same. So, to sum it up, serfs were peasants working the land with limited rights, vassals were landholders who pledged loyalty and military service, and knights were noble warriors who fought on horseback and followed a code of conduct. Each role was part of a larger system that kept medieval society organized and functioning. In Southeast Europe, these roles adapted over time but kept their basic functions, shaped by local customs and influences.